Hey y'all, Shelly here with another tip for hospice nurses and hospice leaders. I've had a lot of requests to do a video on the HOPE assessment tool. And it's taken me a little while to do it because there's kind of a lot to unpack here. I have done a lot of research on it. I've been to several seminars on it. And I'm going to share everything that I've learned with you here. Now, I hear a lot of people kind of freaking out about it and very distraught about it, like it's going to be so much extra work and stuff. I really don't think so, though, y'all. I really don't think so. It's all a lot of stuff that we're already doing anyway. It's just going to be captured a little bit differently. So I'll break it all down for you in this video. First of all, what it is and what the visits are. And then at the end of the video, I'll talk about some caveats and some suggestions about how to get ready for it. So first of all, HOPE is going to be taking the place of the HIS. So this year on October 1st. So we'll do the HIS through October 30th. And then starting on October 1st, we will start with the HOPE tool. It's going to carry the same penalties. You have to have 90% of your patients in, or you stand to get a 4% reduction in reimbursement. So it's really important that we get this done. Now you're going to have a HOPE assessment and a HOPE discharge, just like on the HIS. HOPE assessment is due within the first 5 days. It's probably going to be on your comprehensive assessment anyway, so you're going to do that when you admit the patient. But you're going to do 2 additional HOPE visits during that first month. You're going to be doing HOPE update visit number 1, or HUV1. That occurs between day 6 and day 15. It can't occur before day 6. It has to be day 6 and day 15. HOPE update visit number 2 occurs between day 16 and day 30. So y'all, we're already seeing our patients. We should be making visits during that time frame anyway. So we're just going to have the questions in our EMR to answer the HOPE questions during that time. So nothing extra there. And then it occurs on discharge for whatever reason the patient is discharged. Now, there can be additional visits that can be triggered depending on how we answer the questions. So in the HOPE update, in the HOPE assessment visit and the HUV1 and HUV2, if we answer any of these symptoms as moderate or severe, that is going to trigger what is called a symptom follow-up visit, or an SFV. Now, I have seen this called many different things. Even if you go to Medicare's website right now, they're calling it different things. It's symptom reassessment visit I've seen, or SRA. Symptom reassessment visit being called an SRV. The latest I'm seeing is symptom follow-up visit, or SFV. Regardless of what they're calling it, it occurs within 2 days of any of the symptoms I have listed here. If they're noted to be moderate or severe, you must do this follow-up visit within 2 days. Has to be done in person. Y'all, we should be doing this anyway. So this shouldn't be anything new that we're having to do extra. If our patient is having moderate or severe symptoms, we should be going to see them. So that will trigger those visits. So in your first month, there could be a lot of HOPE activity, but on visits that we're actually doing anyway, because your assessment, your HOPE update visit number 1, your HOPE update visit number 2, all 3 of those could trigger symptom follow-up visits. So you could have 3 more symptom follow-up visits. So you could have technically 6 HOPE visits in that first month. But these are all visits we're doing anyway. So it's not like it's extra stuff. This is stuff we should be doing. And then upon discharge, you'll have your HOPE visit. So that is really it for the HOPE. We're not making a bunch of extra visits. Here's the things that you want to think about with the HOPE. First of all, and this is a little weird, Medicare is calling the election day, or that first day when the election is fined, they are calling that day 0. So you can't start counting down to day 6 until the next day. So that's a little bit confusing. So if you admit a patient on October 1st, you can't do your first symptom follow-up visit until October 7th, because that first day is day 0. Now this is confusing, but you guys, your EMR should be set up to tell you this. It really should. It should calculate it. And I would have it give me a couple of day cushion just to make sure. So I wouldn't want to see him right on day 6. I would want it day 7, day 8, something like that, to give you a little cushion there. If your EMR is not doing it, you can literally do an Excel program and have it do it for you. It's super easy. Google, how do I do this in Excel? I did it myself just the other day, and it did it. It was beautiful. It was super easy. And it will map out when your visits are due. So that's the first thing, your EMR, critically important there. If you are in that day 6 to day 15 and your patient dies before you do your visit, you're okay because you didn't get to that 15-day deadline. Same thing if you're in between the day 16 and day 30, but say your patient dies on day 22, you're still okay. You don't have to have that symptom follow-up visit. The hope update visit because the patient expired or discharged for whatever reason. But this patient discharged or left service before that final due date was due. So you just have to have it done by that final due date. So this is a little bit of a thing too. They talk about when you're going to admit a patient. If you get to the place to do the admit and your assessment in the location where the patient is going to be receiving hospice services, which is where we're supposed to do our comprehensive assessment anyway, you arrive there, you start your assessment, and the patient passes away, you do have to still submit the hope. If you are on your way to do the assessment and admit the patient or do the assessment and the patient passes away, you do not have to do the hope. So basically you have to have started the assessment. If you've started your assessment, you have to submit the hope. And I guess the hope, admit, and discharge on that patient. If you have a patient that discharges and readmits, they revoke and they come back. And I know we have a lot of patients that do this frequently, sometimes several times within a month. It triggers the hope all over again. This is, as I understand it, basically a hope is triggered every time you do an admit. So every time you do an admit, you're starting that hope process all over again. So that's something important to remember when you're considering readmitting patients that tend to revoke and readmit frequently. So again, all of these visits are things that we're doing anyway as nurses. What I would do as a hospice leader is I would call my EMR company today and set a meeting as soon as possible to meet with them, have a Zoom meeting where I'd want to meet with them face to face, eye to eye, find out exactly what they're doing to prepare for this, because your EMR company can really make or break you in this process. And I would want to know exactly what they have planned and how they plan to make this process easier for us. And things to consider are, like I just said, it should trigger those HUV visits. Whenever that nurse's visit is scheduled, within day 6 to day 15, it should say, this is an HUV visit, and have the information on there that has to be answered. Same thing for day 16 through day 30. This is an HUV visit. Have the information in there. Same thing with the symptom follow-up visit. Whenever you are answering those questions in the HOPE assessment and HUVs 1 and 2 visits, and you hit moderate or mild, your EMR should automatically schedule that visit. I would have it schedule it for the next day. I wouldn't even wait the 2 days because something could happen in between and cause you to be out of compliance. So I would do that visit the very next day. Your EMR should just schedule it for you. Very easy. What I would also want from my EMR company, to avoid a bunch of redundant documentation and extra work on your nurses who are already have too much documentation, is all of the symptoms that are assessed on the HOPE tool, the pain and all those different symptom assessments. If we're doing it on the HOPE, if we got HOPE on that particular visit, then that system goes dark in the regular EMR. So for example, I'm doing pain here. I don't have to do another pain assessment as I'm going through my EMR. If I'm doing breathing here, I don't have to do another breathing assessment in my EMR. I would have it go dark. I would either have it go dark, or I would have those each built into those system assessments, so your nurses aren't doing redundant work. One more thing about the EMRs. Talk to your company about it if you're not comfortable that they are going to be prepared to make it as easy on you as possible. I would follow up. I would start looking for different EMRs. Find out who's doing it best. I haven't really heard of one particular one yet. If I do, though, I will definitely share it with y'all. I do get asked to demo a lot of EMRs, so if I do demo some and it looks like they've got a really good plan for the HOPE, I'll let y'all know. I'll be happy to share it here. The other thing you want to be prepared for as hospice leaders, if you are currently not seeing your patients 1 or 2 times a week, I know some places try to do every 14 days. That's going to be an issue. You really need to move your visits to twice a week so to make sure that you capture all of these visits and not make extra strain on your nurses. And these symptom follow-up visits that have to be done in person, if you don't have enough staff, if you run or intentionally lean on your staff, you're going to need to staff up. Either staff up for these visits or use Amity nurses. My nurses, that's exactly what we're here for. We can step in and help with all of these visits and help take some of the strain off of your staff. So I know this was a super long video. I hope that it was helpful. If you have questions, comments, again, this is something that everybody's figuring out right now. If you have suggestions, please share them here because we can all work together to make this a very seamless transition from HIS to Hope. And you guys have a great afternoon, and I love you guys. Bye.